You remember PBC at elementary school? I was like, recording. Hi.
Oh, we're group 5. I'm Emma Cartwright.
I'm Jessie Dishman.
I'm Victoria Kelly.
Aaliyah Chavis.
Hannah Cogswell.
Ashley Radetsky.
Alright. Let's start with the first question. Discuss the 3 theories of workplace discrimination.
Human capital theory.
Okay, there we go. Gender socialization theory and gender organization theory. Alright. Those are all summarized on page 387, in case you aren't there already. Human capital theory was basically that labor markets are neutral and they reward workers for their skills, experience, and productivity. So basically, how hard you put in is how much you are rewarded in return. And that gender segregation pretty much stems from a discrepancy in skills and experience, not discrimination.
The second theory is the gender socialization theory that we've basically been talking about the whole time, where you learn it from your family and the women get caring jobs like teacher and like taking care of families and nurturing, and the men are expected to seek higher paying jobs with more authority and reinforce their sense of masculinity.
So it's interesting in there where it says women are socialized to put family obligations first. Women workers would also be expected to be concentrated in part-time jobs that allow more flexibility for family schedules but bring in less money. Like, yeah, that's true, but I don't find it to be accurate, I guess. See, I'm on the same page as you. Like, my boyfriend and I, because we apparently decided to discuss all this stuff over spring break. You have to click it. Okay, well, I'm just gonna have to sit next to this computer so it doesn't freeze out. So I'm not gonna notice it. Okay, whatever. And basically, because we're both going for 2 different like levels of education, like I'm going for my PhD, he already has his bachelor's and he doesn't want to like go any further. We already decided that like if/when we have children, he's going to be the one that does like the part-time job and has like the more flexibility. Just because we both have like that's our different interests. He's more like family-based and I'm more like career and school. So
And then the third theory is gendered organization theory. And it argues that what is missing from both human capital theory and gender socialization theory is the way in which men's advantages in the workplace are maintained and reproduced in gender expectations that are embedded in organizations and interactions between employers, employees, and coworkers.
I was just watching Girl Code this morning, and they were talking about, it was like the feminist, I guess, episode, and they were just talking about, how it doesn't make you a feminist to believe that women and men should have equal rights. Like, it doesn't make you a feminist to believe that if you have been in school the same amount of time as a man, and, you and a man are going up for a job, that it doesn't make it wrong for you to believe that you should get paid just as much as him, if not more than him, when most of the time, like you're saying in the workplace, you could have the same criteria, the same everything as the man, and you still won't get paid as much, just because, you more than likely have to take maternity leave and all of this stuff, so it's interesting.
And the men are also classified like as harder workers, so they'll get paid more than the women.
Since we're supposed to only care about family,
Yeah.
so we're expected to leave our jobs to take care of our family, whereas the men, no matter what happens in the family, he's going to stay at work. And he can work those long hours if needed to be. He can work from 8 to 8 if it needs to be.
Because, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but they still don't offer, like, full men maternity leave or, like,
some places do, but I don't think
it's not, like, a huge thing, right?
No, and it's not for like a long period of time. I don't think. I
Right.
think
It's
just
like a week or
a
something.
week or two. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so it's not like long.
Right.
How does The Outsider Within offer a unique perspective on gender workplace disparities?
That's right at the top of page 388, and we talked about this a lot. We were talking about marginalization and how people that are discriminated against, they see the discrepancies in like the workplace, and how, because if you're at the top or you haven't been through it, then it basically doesn't exist in your world.
I think this was a really good like study, I guess, because of the fact that these female to male, like, they experience both parts of it. They get the socialization as a female, and then they transition and they get career, like, in their career they're treated as a male, and so they see the differences between the two. It's the perfect example of the outsider within theory.
I thought it was really interesting that even that like the like out like transitioning or like trans men like even they like could see differences, and like people knew that before like they were technically female and now they've switched and like it just that label completely changed everything for them.
For the ones that were open about it, some of them hid the fact that they had been a female.
But, like, I think you would see, like intuitive, I feel like you would see more, like, advantages for the, like, closeted ones, because, like, nobody would have ever known before that they were a woman. But, like, I think even the people that knew that, like, this person has transitioned, like, they still saw those advantages.
It also says, well, jumping ahead, I remember this on 396. It said, it's talking about the guy who was like, once he began hormones and gained his social identity as a man, he found that his work and school experiences became much more positive. So I guess that ties into what you just said about feeling more comfortable, advantages and positives. Because they're comfortable.
I was actually reading like a news article that happened recently, and there was like a little first grader girl, and she had been, I don't know if you guys saw, it was all over like Instagram and Twitter. She had been assaulted like during playground time by 3 schoolboys that were also in the first grade, and like the side of her face is like scarred, like they pushed her into the woods and hit her with like stones and stuff. I don't know, they kind of sexually assaulted her with like rocks as first grade boys.
Oh my God.
Yeah, and it's like, it wasn't brought to the attention of like the police or anything, the school principal. They didn't even get in trouble. It was just kind of like, oh, boys will be boys. They were just roughhousing, and it went too far. And now her parents are trying to like fight for justice for her, because for one, she's gonna have like this huge scar on the side of her face forever. And it's just like, basically, because they're boys, they kind of got away with it, and it's just like no one cares about what the little girl went through, you know?
That's awful. Do you guys remember it was like a high school footballer or something, and he got charged with like raping some girl, and like the news was totally ignoring like the entire like part of how like she was a victim, and was just like, oh my god, like his like future's ruined and everything.
Totally remember that.
And it was just like this total like whatever. Probably her fault, and then like, oh, his future's ruined.
Yeah. They do that a lot in rape
terrible.
cases.
It's always with the rape cases.
It's always blaming the victim. And like, oh,
That's
the
why-
poor man is now going to jail. Oh, okay.
That
That's
poor
why
man.
it's always, well, if she had just dressed
differently.
differently, or there's actually a study, I'm not sure if we talked about it in Dar's class or not. I think it was my other sociology class, but there was a study where they went around a college campus and they interviewed women and men and asked how they make themselves feel safer in like public places. And for the guys, they basically didn't have an answer. They were like, I don't feel unsafe. And for the girls, it's always, I have friends with you. You don't walk after dark without somebody with you. You keep your pepper spray, or you keep your keys like between your fingers so that you can, like, it's all these little tricks that women do to feel safer, because we are always in danger in our society.
And that kind of like, that brings me to the lady that got gang raped in Saudi Arabia. It's somewhere in the Middle East. She got gang raped because she was like, you know, you're, as a woman, you're supposed to be accompanied by like your husband or a brother or your dad, like at all times when you walk out in public. And she broke the rule one time. I think she went to go get a picture from her friend, and like she got gang raped. And so she's actually getting 200 lashes. And I think, and then I think she's gonna get some jail time too, because she broke the law. Like, and then, but the guys that raped her, they are on trial, I believe. But it's still crazy how she's getting lashed and she got raped. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's.
And it's like, so kind of what you were saying. It's like a good thing and a bad thing that we. Well, like here we don't have to walk with people, but we do. We can take those precautions, and we can have like pepper spray and stuff. And it just it kind of makes you wonder, like, is it human nature? Like, okay, if a woman's by herself, and like, is she just bound to get raped? Because obviously, you know, that woman, she did get raped the one time she wasn't with someone.
I think that's part of the socialization. You're teaching men that boys will be boys and that they can't really control their urges, whereas females, you're teaching them you need to be safe, you need to always be with people, you need to dress a certain way so that you don't attract unwanted attention. Guys just can't control themselves around females, so it's all a part of the socialization. Like, you're just teaching people that you can't control yourself, so that guys do attack females when they get the opportunity.
Okay, next. What were the key gender advantages and disadvantages experienced in the workplace by trans men?
The first one, the authority and competency. I experience this all the time at work. Like, I work in electronics, and so someone will call or someone will come up to me, and first off, a guy will come up to me and say, "What do you know about TVs?" And it's like, what do you want to know? Like, I work in electronics, like, ask me a question, and I'll answer his question, and he won't like my answer, or he won't think I know what I'm talking about, and so I have to get either a guy or a member of management to come and tell them the same thing I just told him, because I'm a female and I don't know what I'm talking about.
You don't know about TVs or
Yeah.
That happens to me. I work at Best Buy, and it's the same. It's like car stuff. They'll be like, "Oh, you don't know anything about this, do you?" And I'll be like, "I sure don't." But if I did, I would be offended. Like,
Right.
I had a customer call one time, and I answered the call, and he wanted to talk to someone in automotive, and the automotive department had already closed. And so I was like, "I don't work over there, but I'll try to help you." And he was like, "Can you, like, get me a guy, someone who knows more?" So I grabbed the only guy that's over there, and he doesn't know a thing about cars. Like, I know more about cars than he does. And so he took, like, 10 times longer to help him than I would have, because...
I think one of the advantages they were talking about, Henry said that if he was a woman or looked like a woman, that his business plan wouldn't have gotten as far. On page 396, which is true, or they wouldn't have taken him as serious.
Oh yeah, and he may not have had access to the type of social networks that made his business venture possible. But I feel like, I don't know, like, I guess those are his eyes and how he sees it, but I feel like a woman can do anything a man can do. It's like, they're that business could become successful if they had the right resources and they had the right drive.
Well, speaking to that, this same Carl, he says that as a woman, like, you know, since he transitioned, he never would have made it as far as he did if he hadn't transitioned. Like, he just feels like he, being the same person, he never would have made it as a woman.
And I feel like it's also sort of perpetuated by the fact that women aren't promoted as often as men. Because, like, I've worked in places where I've had both female bosses and male bosses. And if I brought an idea to, like, a female boss, it was like, that's awesome, we're going to implement it, we're going to do it, like, they listen. But if I brought ideas to my male boss, it was always, that's great, we'll think about it, or cool, keep up the good work, and, like, it never went anywhere.
I mean, I think we start that from, like, a pretty early age, too. Like, little girls, they get told they're being bossy. And, like, little boys don't hear that. No little boy is like, oh, like, he's being bossy. No, he's not. The little girl's being bossy.
Yeah.
The boy is being commanding, like,
Taking charge. Yeah.
Being a leader.
Yeah, there you go. It's a good one. Did they mention at all, I mean, I don't remember it, but maybe I just read it wrong, like, monetarily? Oh yeah, nope, just
Economic
kidding.
gains.
Losing it.
This is why I get annoyed because I'm like,
What findings in the article surprised you and why?
Surprised me.
No,
It's things we know.
I feel like it's things that we experience on a daily basis, over and over again, or hear about. So nothing.
Even though there are the positive examples of the women bosses, sometimes the women bosses just live up to the whole stereotype where they only promote the men because the men are supposed to be better workers. So,
Or, like, you do end up with, like, nasty female bosses because, like, they are trying to, like, assert themselves in, like, their workplace. I know that, like, my boyfriend works at Target as, like, an assistant manager, and there's another girl there that's got, like, the same position in a different department there, and, like, sometimes she's just so nasty about, like, things she wants done. It's like, you don't actually have to be nasty to, like, get things that you want done.
it's also one of those things where you're taught if you act like a man, then it's a bad thing, but it's also a bad thing if you use the fact that you're a woman to get what you want. Like, not necessarily sexually, but, like, I've gone up to guys at work and it's like, can you help me with something? Like,
Yeah.
you know,
I do that all the
thing,
time.
like, just to get them to actually help rather than just going up to them normally and saying, hey, I need help with something. Like, I don't do that. I have to do the cute thing, or you have to do the, hey, get over here, help me. You know, like, you have to either boss them or...
Yeah, you can't just, like,
ask them
there can't be
nice.
an in-between. It's like, I'm going to play into the, like, weak woman stereotype or, like, the nasty woman stereotype. Like,
Well, and I feel like the last time we talked, when we had discussion, we also talked about how, like, people of different skin colors have to prove themselves and, like, represent their race, and I feel like women have to do the same thing, which is why they tend to be that, they get that stereotype of being bossy and domineering, because they have to prove that a woman can do the same thing as a man, not just people realize that they can, they have to prove themselves worthy.
It's definitely like that because I'm a hostess, and it's like we only get paid a certain amount an hour. And then I realized just like a week ago, we all realized that like the busboys were making more than us because we get paid an hour, and they get tip out from like all the servers, which means they get paid every night, like whatever servers make too. And so it's like, why am I a hostess and we have to like bus tables and run food and do all this other stuff, and yet we make less than everyone in the restaurant? But they wouldn't give a male our job because it's specifically for females. Like, they want the males to do the kitchen work and just the busboys. And it's just like, that's kind of bad that we do the most work, and it's not. I mean, even though people think you just have to stand there and look pretty, it's a lot going into it.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Oh,
I used to be one.
Yeah, so it's like a lot of thinking and all that stuff. It's just like we do more work, but we're not paid for it because the males are thought to do more work because, you know, whatever. That's just how it works in that environment, I guess. And it's frustrating, but there's really nothing you can do about it.
Let's go near the she is okay.
Okay. We're ready to move on.
Yeah.
Sweet. What social and historical practices is the desire for white skin rooted in, and how is it gendered?
I mean, I think a lot of it comes from like white invasion into places. Like,
Colonialism.
yeah.
Yeah.
I think a lot of that comes from there. We are the superior race, and then like everybody's trying to aspire to be that.
Because they're told that they're lesser than, and
If you can
whiteness
pass for
is
white,
better.
Definitely.
I think it's also the thing of like how people see in the media, they see the typical Western, like, you know, white women getting, you know, white women getting, oh my gosh, there we go, like the men and whatever, and they just see it being marketed, and so they think that they have to be like that to be happy.
and successful.
Yeah, exactly. Which is really sad.
And it's gendered because, like, even, like, with women, like, if you're darker, you're not as pretty as the ones that are lighter and, like, more white, basically. Like, even in, like in their family units, the ones that have, like, white hair or that are just lighter than their siblings, they're thought to be better than. Like, but you'll go far because you are whiter.
Yeah. Like in what, Indian cultures where you have lighter skin and lighter eyes and lighter hair, you're like gonna be the first one to get married and stuff. You know, they're gonna like what's that movie? Pride and Prejudice. Or
Pride
something? It's Pride and.
I think both of those are movies.
Yeah, I forgot. There's one like.
Pride and Prejudice, I think, is the one that's Indian. Pride and Prejudice is
okay.
like England.
Yeah.
And it also ties into slavery, like it says on page 103, where it's just like, of course, the offspring of like the slave owners and the slaves were treated more fairly when it came to housework and being in the house and being of a better position than the field slaves of darker skin tones. And yeah, so since I'm a dark skinned girl, I go through this all the time with people, like just on like Twitter or whatever. I can't even like tell you how many retweets I see in a day about dark skinned girls. And it's just like people always put lighter skinned girls or white girls on a pedestal, and it's like dark skinned girls are made fun of a lot. Or I'll hear all the time like, oh, you're pretty for a dark skinned girl, because it's not just general beauty. And if you guys even Google, like there was a day called like Blackout Day, and it was like, you remember, it was like a Twitter takeover, because you know there's so much like racism and things going on these days, like in modern, where it's just like that's all people are talking about now. And so it was a blackout day where like all black girls were just like, yeah, black magic, and it's beautiful to be black. But then so you go to Google and you type in beauty, and literally not one like person that's not white pops up. It's not even like Hispanic girls, like Asian girls. If you just type in the general word beauty, it's just like a long list of pages of white women. And it's crazy. It's just like, wow, that's what we've always known to be beauty, though, just in the general definition of like white. It's pure and it's beautiful, and then black, it's dirty and it's like damaged and all that good stuff.
Well, going off of that, I've actually experienced the other side of that. Like, both my sisters are blonde and they tan, and I'm super white, and I only turn red, so I can't tan. And I've been, like, my best friend's Hispanic, and her family, like her dad and her mom, her dad's white, and her mom's Hispanic, and they both have given me like advice on how I can make myself more tan. Like, go outside for 5 minutes one day, and then the next day go out for 6 minutes. You know, like telling me how I can make myself darker to be pretty, which is.
That's always confused me. I'm not even gonna lie. Like how we had slavery, you gotta be white is right, and then now like I don't understand why people tan. Like I mean, I feel like everybody's beautiful in their own way. I don't get the tanning thing. Like if I see like someone that's like really really fair, just really fair, like I don't see them as they're like a ghost or anything, but it's like why get darker? Why are you? Can y'all answer me something?
Right.
Why? Because, well, some black people tan, but it's mostly, like, white people.
Yeah.
So, why do white people tan?
That's like one of my friends is African American, and she goes into a tanning salon, not to tan, but she does like body wrap or something. And every time she goes in there, people turn and like stare at her, like, "Why are you here?" And you shouldn't be here. And she's just like, and this article is really hard for me to read because like we always talk about how you don't see the privilege that you have, and like that's so. And this whole thing, I was just like, oh my gosh, like. This is so sad that people feel like because they have such a darker skin color that my skin color is prettier than that, and like that just baffled me, and just because like I've always known that okay, the prettier white girls are like the tan ones. And like my roommate was like that. She's always very, very fair, and she'd always be like, "You're so lucky. You can go outside and tan. You're so lucky."
It just sucks going outside and you only turn red. Like, and nobody thinks red's pretty. Like, everyone can agree, red is not pretty. Like, being a lobster is not a good thing. So, you either are stuck being the super white and getting picked on all summer because all the other white girls are tanning.
Because your legs are glowing in the sunlight.
Yeah, basically. And it's just weird to see, like that there's another side to it.
Right.
There's white people who get discriminated against because they're too white. Like, not really because they act too white, but because their skin is literally too white. Like, they don't think
when
that
other
you look
people
good.
are just striving to be that white.
I also feel like now society tells us how to be pretty. So like,
Hey guys, so I work down here in the Digital Art Studio. She has this room reserved at 2 o'clock. So it's 1:30
That's
now.
fine.
We're
We'll be
not
out
on
in
the
15
video
minutes.
discussion.
Okay, sounds
Sorry,
good.
thanks.
but I feel like society tells us how to be pretty and that we have to be tan during summer especially and throughout the whole thing. So that's like why we strive to be tan, to like answer your question, I guess. I don't really know, but I guess because like society tells you you have to be tan, that's why I feel like I have to be tan.
And like I'll never forget like in high school, and it kind of applies now, but like when like the wealthy families would go to like Florida for spring break, and then they'd come back, they always had to have the hair beaded and braided, and they always had to have a tan, and that's how you knew, oh, that family is wealthy enough to go on spring break. Whereas I'd still be there in my like Minnesota winter pail, and it'd be like, oh, so and so went on spring break. Okay.
They get like the hair wraps.
Yeah.
Like, they do the hair wraps.
Yeah.
And I mean, I think the whiteness and tanness, like levels of whiteness and tanness, come like they mentioned about how like different places strive for like different shades of light skin. So like in like the Philippines or something, they were striving to be more like Hispanic or like Chinese looking, instead of like Asian. And then like in the U.S., like white girls try to like get tanner, and then like the dark skinned girls want to get lighter.
Yeah.
And like it's weird that it changes from place to
It's
place.
also like what we talked about in Dar's class, where we were talking about the different types of Asians and how some of them were considered white during like the slavery and all that. When everyone was getting their rights, they had to decide whether or not this Asian group was white enough or this Asian group wasn't white enough. So they were like lumped in with everyone else trying to like get their rights. Like it I don't know how they decided it, because to me, most Asians look yeah, like, even, like, I mean, I know that they're all different, but you look at them and you just know that they're Asian.
You can't tell, like, oh, this one's Korean, this one's Chinese. Yeah.
This one's long.
Yeah.
Though I think in like some places in Asia, like aren't there like actual like they're like these are physical characteristics of these?
Yeah, there's
people,
supposed to like different slits to the eye or something.
I have a couple of Asian friends, and they can sit there and pinpoint and be like, oh, that person's from there, that person's from there, that person's from that region, and I'm always like, oh, cool.
Yeah. That's how Hispanics
Good
are
on
too. They
ya.
can tell like who's Mexican, who's Salvadorian, all that stuff. They know.
Like, the only relevant experience I have with that, which is really sad and nerdy, is that my dad's from England, and I can tell, just because I've watched so much TV and, like, my family's all spread out from there, I can tell where someone either lives or was raised based on their accent, because, like, I mean, we could still do that in the States, too, based on, like, where they live, I can tell, like, by their accent, not by their appearance, but just...
I honestly, I don't think I can tell. Like, I watched, not, like, a ton of TV, but, like, honestly, like, I know that they know there are differences.
Yeah, yeah.
Cockney accent,
Yeah.
Southern accent, Welsh accent, I'm like...
Yeah. Well, it'll be funny, because I'll be sitting there watching something with my dad, and two people who are supposed to be related, living in the same area, will have completely different, like, regional things, and so we'll both be like, oh, that person's not from here.
And I don't think they can do, like, they can tell their difference in accents, and we can tell the difference in ours,
Yeah.
but I don't think other people can tell the difference.
No.
Even though there's, like, distinct, like, Southern accents, like,
Yeah.
Northern accents, Boston accents.
Mm-hmm.
I just find it interesting on both sides of the spectrum with skin lightening and tanning, how they're both very harmful for you.
Yeah.
Like, you can die.
Yeah, and it's like if you lighten your skin too much, that could cause really bad skin problems, and you could look even worse than what you started off, and then people will be picking on you because you look weird, and then you could tan way too much and look like
Orange.
leather, orange, and then get picked on because like, oh no, she tans way too, like she's too dark, Like, I find that interesting. It's like people will never be satisfied. Like we are so
grass is always greener on the other side.
always.
Yeah.
Not to mention it's so dangerous. Like, there was another documentary I watched in another class about skin lightening and how basically you're sticking your kids in bleach and like eating away their skin, and then like tanning, you can get cancer from that's just as easily as from the sun. So
I never thought about it. Like when you guys brought up like some like African Americans, like other like Asians, they want to be lighter, but then as white you want to be tanner. So like it's like the same thing. I just never thought about
everyone's
that.
trying to be
Yeah,
everyone else.
I didn't either. I liked how they brought up a little bit, they brought up, like, hair, too. Because there's some movie, who is it, like, Chris Rock is in the movie, yes. And just, like, all of the, like, relaxers and straightening products and all of
in
that.
an aluminum can or something.
Yeah.
Something put in their hair.
Yeah, and I just had no, I mean, I'm clueless about anything hair, but I was just like, I had no idea.
That's a big thing.
Yeah.
Relaxers. I honestly don't know any black girls that don't get perms unless they have like the curly hair. Seriously, I actually just got a relaxer like 2 days ago because it makes your hair so much easier to straighten and just to be nice and light. But people don't think about that because I guess everyone has different textured hairs. But it's also like so black girls are basically known. A lot of them, it's been the thing for black people to wear braids and cornrows and things. That's nothing new. But it's like recently Kendall Jenner did it, and it was like, oh, she's been controversial, and this is something new. She's a trendsetter, and people were mad because they were like, why is she a trendsetter for wearing cornrows? And like, black people have been wearing cornrows for hundreds of years. It's just, I don't know. Things are looked at differently based on who does it.
But then Zendaya wears
the
dreadlocks to, what is it, the
Oh,
Something like
yeah.
that. And they were like, she must smell like weed and
Yeah,
and
it's
weed oil
awful.
or something. Yeah.
It's like a Disney star.
Yeah. It was like
It's all, like,
all
shakeoff.
over the place.
Yeah.
But
it
she's
was.
mixed. She's not black. She's black and white. but just because, you know,
She has some
she
color
has
to
some
it.
color to it, right? She gotta
Right.
smell like marijuana.
Right.
But Kendall Jenner can wear cornrows, and
And
she's
a trendsetter.
right.
And I was just like, oh, I didn't know people never wore cornrows before. And they were just like, why are you guys mad? Black people didn't invent cornrows. And I'm just like, oh, we did. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like, cause like for me, well, I guess you can consider me natural. Like if I wash my hair, it's curly. Like it's nappy, I guess if you want to say. But like I straighten it because I don't want to deal with people looking at me like, oh, why didn't she come like brush her hair today? Why didn't she comb her hair? And like before I became natural, I had been getting relaxers in my hair since I was 5. And you saw that video, it eats through an aluminum
yeah.
can. So, and you know, I hate when like this is more of like a social type thing in the black community, but how people pick on black girls for like not having hair or not having long hair. And it's like, well, you don't realize that most of these black girls are getting those treatments since they were young, you know what I'm saying? Like,
definitely.
you know, most other cultures don't have any type of chemicals like that being like put on their child's hair. You know, you can just grow it and it grows however, and it's beautiful how it is. But like, we're kind of told that the ideals of beauty, like you have to have straight hair and it has to be manageable and it has to look tinglable, you know, for it to be pretty. And then we're doing all these things to be pretty, and it's actually like hurting.
Yeah.
You know, so I kind of love, like, I don't know if y'all know about like the natural movement
Yeah.
of black girls, but you probably see like a lot of girls now with like,
Like
big
afro.
curly froze, just curly hair, and I love it. Like,
Oh yeah, it looks so nice.
I think it's, yeah, I mean, and some people are like, oh no, it's not for everybody. Like, it's
People
not
do
for,
say that because
yeah.
some black girls, they don't have like the hair that gets wet and it curls up. It's just like however it is. And people are
Right.
like, oh, she doesn't need to do that. And it's just like, but why not? Why can't she wear her hair naturally?
And that's the same.
Because I mean, we wear our hair naturally sometimes. I mean, like some girls do automatically. So like, why can't you guys do it?
Exactly. It's just like, it's just frowned upon. And this isn't really on the subject, but it kind of has to do with what we've been talking about. I don't know if you guys saw about like the SAE fraternity members or whatever.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and it's just like, so basically there was I guess a Sigma Alpha Epsilon or whatever chapter of Oklahoma, and there was a video chant of them that got put on YouTube, and they were just like, no niggers will ever join SAE or whatever, and it went viral. They got like expelled, and like they got the whole chapter shut down in Oklahoma. It just happened like a week ago.
Yeah, it was like that.
It went viral, seriously, and it's just like the fraternity members, there's a group of like white kids, I don't know who recorded it, but you could see everyone just chanting it like racist.
That's awful.
Yeah, but the thing is, like, so if like usually a black person does something like Trayvon Martin or like Mike Brown, the people that got killed, we will hear like their whole life story, know everything about them. They haven't even released the names of the kids
Oh
that
yeah,
were in
it's
it.
all like
Yeah, it's
secret.
all secretive, and then it's like people will get on the TV and talk about it, and some people have actually defended them like, well, we can't help that they've been listening to rap culture and hip hop, and the N word is very popular, and they're just repeating what they've heard, and it's just like, really, you want to blame it on hip hop culture on why they're being racist? Like, they're just an excuse for it, but if it was like reversed, then it wouldn't be at all.
They're in college. They know what it means.
Yeah.
I think they're not like in the first grade and just heard it and don't know what it means. They know what it means. So
So they're
like,
still using it.
yeah.
Definitely, they knew the chant. It's not a new chant, but it's so like people are able to make excuses for them and things go on. Meanwhile, there's a naked black man that has special needs that's being shot by the police like a week ago. Like, how are you going to shoot someone that's completely naked with no? And you killed him, and it's just like if that was a white person, they're like blowing up theaters and killing people all over, but they're all in jail right now. I don't know. It's just crazy.
I only have like one more thing about the hair thing, and you guys can totally correct me if I'm wrong because I'm totally ignorant. So like a couple of my friends have done like an experiment where like they use the relaxers and they straighten their hair, and they tend to get more compliments from like everyone, all their friends and everyone, than if they just like even if they like style it and have it like perfectly curled, they still get way more compliments when it's straight.
You do. Like, just like the other day, I wore a bun to work, and it was just like a normal day. No one said, and they were just like, oh, your hair's up today. And I just wore a bun because I didn't feel like flat ironing it. Literally the next day, I flat ironed my hair straight like this. Everyone was like, oh my God, your hair is so pretty. You look so nice today. Blah, blah, blah. And I'm just like, my bun was nice yesterday. But that didn't matter because this is more like people like better, I guess, longer hair, straight, and not kinky or whatever.
So there's a lot of like socialization of white people to straighten their hair as well. Like straight is usually better unless you have like the perfect little curls.
The natural
Yeah.
perfect
Yes.
curl.
Or like the beach like
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
waves
Like a
or
perfect
something.
beach wave.
Yeah, but not like a.
Like I'm not pretty when my hair's not straight. Basically, like she has come out right out and said that to me because she wants my hair to be straight, and I'm like, your hair's not straight. Like,
My mom's the opposite. I'll like blow dry it. It looks like a lion's mane. I think it looks awful. And she'll be like, your hair looks so pretty today. I'm like, oh, but it's not straight. I don't like it when it's straight. Okay. Alright.
Yeah, I know people discriminate against white girls too because they're always like, oh, white people have like thin hair and stuff like that. You guys ever hear that or no? Oh, okay.
My roommate, now we know. Like my roommate used to have like really, really thin hair, and she would complain about it all the time. And I think it's just an ongoing thing, no matter like wherever you are. It's always, you know, oh, your hair is too thin. Or, I like your hair because it's blonde. I like your hair because it's thick. I like your hair because it's straight. I like your hair because it's curly. Like it's everywhere you go.
Yeah. And another thing is, I found it's really interesting that like extensions. Everybody wears extensions. Like it doesn't matter what race you are, but like if you're a black girl with long hair, long extensions, that can't possibly like be your hair.
Oh,
you know
yeah.
what I'm saying? But like you know, if you're white or Asian and you have
everyone
the,
thinks it's all
yeah, it's like
about
oh,
your hair.
that's
Yeah.
probably her. Oh, she might have just cut it or something. You know. So I find that interesting too.
I think it's funny that we even name it differently though. Like, I had a friend in middle school, and her mom's friend came over, and she'd just gotten extensions in her hair, and somebody asked her something like, "Oh, did you just get a weave?" And she was like, "No, girl, I'm white. I got extensions." And I was
But
just like,
It's weave. It's the same
"Oh
thing.
my
Yeah.
gosh."
Yeah.
I guess your name's Boss Question.
Yeah.
Colorism and gender ideology intersect to produce a need for altering the body toward whiteness.
Yeah, they're restocking a lot.
I don't know.
I mean, well, like one thing is that they talked about somewhere in here, I don't remember where, but like people like Beyonce who have lighter skin, like that's who they see as
But they even
like a movie star. Oh yeah, but like that's what you see, and so you're like, oh, to make money like her, to be famous like her, I have to lighten my skin.
And the thing about it is, in person, she's darker than what you see on magazine covers. They edit her picture to make her more white to the public.
You never see a dark skinned person on a magazine. It's always the lighter person.
What
Or a
was,
lighter.
who's the girl? She's got really dark skin.
You're talking about like she's super skinny, like with the short hair.
Maybe she wore the red dress.
Yeah, I know who you're
I have
talking
no idea.
about.
She's got a-
Lupita.
That one. Yeah. I think she was on a magazine for something, and they had lightened her, which was like a big deal because people were like,
We
"What are
know.
you doing?" Like everybody knows she
She's
has
very
dark
dark
skin.
She's African or something like that, but it's like it's either white or like light, or it's like straight to the Africans. It's not even like just black people in general. I don't know.
She was very visibly like lightened, and it was like I don't think people realize like how much like skin gets like lightened in like photoshopping and stuff. But like there was a very big difference between like her actual skin and her photoshopped skin.
Well, they tan the white people.
Yeah, but
They
they
tan the dark people.
And people get filters or like apps to make themselves look tanner
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
like the white people. And I guess like
And then I
the
guess
darker people, they want to be lighter, so
they brighten their pictures
Right.
and stuff like that.
Yeah.
There's like apps that you can do, and it'll like apply like makeup, and it'll like make your face look more
More
like
however you want.
My roommate was crazy. She used to have those and do them all the time.
But I'm like,
She
just
just
be
like looked
natural.
fake.
He likes.
Yeah, I've never been into that. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, you really should. It's
So,
just like,
yeah.
why?
Because
Yeah.
like making the fake reality.
You just never hang out.
It's just setting yourself up for.
Well,
Yeah, right. Like you can't live up to these unrealistic
Like I go through
expectations.
like my Instagram or like Facebook and people look so different. I was like, you do not look like that in person.
Yeah.
I'm like, you cannot. I just saw you yesterday, but yet you're this tan or you like nothing's wrong. I don't know.
There's actually a lot of people that say if people can't look at your pictures on Instagram and recognize who you are, then you need to stop putting those in your pictures.
Oh yeah.
Like I don't put like I just do it if like the picture that I took turns out like too white or something where there's the flash. I'll put like a filter on it to make it to where the picture actually looks good. I'm not even looking at my skin color. It's just like the picture in general. That's way too dark. Let me lighten that up. Or that's
See,
the
it's
only
really-
reason I use filters.
It's funny because now that I'm like thinking about it, anytime I use like Instagram or whatever, and it's like a picture of me, whatever, it's almost over. I always tend to